October. Are you a feminist? I'm not going to ask you to answer this out loud, but it actually breaks my heart because I know in most cases, when I ask this question, are you a feminist? Few people are going to say yes, but for the majority, and it's men and women, would actually say no. And I think I know why. It's because feminism is usually associated with its most extreme form. So when we think of a feminist, we think of a woman, an ugly woman, who hates men, and who's a danger to society and our culture. Mr. Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and honorable guests, what I'm going to try to do today is mitigate the stigma that we have about feminism. So since it's a heavy subject, I'm going to start with a riddle, so please listen carefully. A young man drives his father to the airport and waits until the plane takes off. On his way back, he is hurt in a car accident and is taken to the hospital. At the hospital, the surgeon looks at the young man and says, "I cannot operate on this young man. He's my son." How can that be? I'll give you a second to think about that. And here comes the answer.
Mother. It's the mother.
Yeah. The surgeon is the boy's mother. But actually, you'd be surprised that a lot of people struggle with this simple riddle. Because when we think of a surgeon, we think, oh, that must be a smart person. That must be a highly skilled person. That must be a well-paid person. So it must be a man. What do we call this phenomenon? We call it gender bias. And I'm sure if I asked you, most of you can give me many, many examples of how gender bias manifests in every area of our life. But I'm going to talk to you about two areas where I think even feminists are not very aware of it. Medicine. Did you know that most medical textbooks are actually based on a man's body? So I'll give you an example. When a woman goes to the hospital suffering from chest pain, most times she's sent back home without treatment. And that's why, because 6 out of 7 women have different symptoms of a heart attack than that of a man. So the doctors don't know that and send her home, where she could die. And if she's one of the lucky ones and they gave her medication, the drug companies test the medicine on men. So women's reaction to the medicine could be different. So instead of helping her, the medicine could actually hurt her. Another example, safety. Did you know that car companies, when they test their safety features, they do it on a dummy that represents a man's body? So for instance, the safety cushion that's in the car could actually hurt a woman driver instead of saving her life. So now let's together think of how to define feminism in a way that's not offensive to anyone. So it's a movement to eliminate gender bias, to empower women, and to achieve gender equity. And for those who don't know the difference between equity and equality, that's equality. I have 3 kids who want to watch a game. 2 of them are too short. And if I solve this problem thinking about equality, I'll give each one a box, but the shortest one still cannot see the game. If I solve this problem using equity, I'll study the problem, say the tallest guy doesn't need a box, and distribute the other boxes so that I solve the problem fairly. So this is equity. If I've changed your mind about feminism, and I hope so, and if any of you are now wondering, okay, it's a fair thing, how can I help? You can help by acquiring and promoting awareness. You can actually help correct the misguided beliefs about feminism Promote equity instead of equality. Never tolerate any kind of violence against women. Eliminate unjust laws by choosing and electing women to governments and the parliament so they themselves can change the laws that suit them. Utilize new tools for campaigning, like the internet. And fix the gender data gap. The data gap is what we talked about when it comes to medicine, when it comes to safety, and many, many other areas in our life. So I'm hoping now that if I repeat the question, even though there might be one or two people who are still not convinced, but for the rest of you, I hope that all of us, all together, can we say together? Yes, I am a feminist. Thank you so much.